gentlemen. My name is Byram Allen, and you're tuned in to the Wingate World Experience podcast on WWEP 71.8 on your Ticket Series radio dial. And we just want you to sit back and relax and enjoy this audio journey, okay? King Nigel, what up?
Yes. What it do?
In here doing what we do. Yes, indeed.
Oh, praises do indeed. Let's
Absolutely.
give thanks for another day, episode.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Dealing with
breath,
this
whatever, another.
Speaking of breath, we're dealing with this Canadian smoke out here. How you dealing with it?
Shit, I just found out today.
Because, oh man, looks like we got a couple of weeks of this, man. We're gonna just try to. Mass is back, they say. Yeah, the fires ain't stopping.
Didn't they say? Oh, I don't watch news like that.
Yeah. Interesting time, man.
Yeah. First thing that popped in my head, you already know.
Yeah, you already know. Someone's going
I'm not
on
even
out
gonna
there.
say it.
Yeah.
Use your imagination.
Yeah. We're witnessing a lot of things. The birth of AI. Did you ever think that we would see that? It's going crazy.
AI been out though.
Yeah, they've been telling us.
They've been telling us for a long time.
I think AI ain't nothing new.
Terminator.
Oh man, yeah, all the way back then.
Yeah.
Hey, but did you know a melanated woman wrote the Terminator
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the Matrix?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good, yo. That just show you what the mind can. You know what I'm saying? The greatness of the mind when you really tapped in. You know, and know what you're doing, tell a real story in cinema. You know, so
Right.
we're here with an amazing individual who is an expert, I would say, at handling the kettlebell. And as you know, this is a podcast that is focusing not only on calisthenic athletes, but athletes of all sorts and all different genres. Introduce yourself, sir.
No, peace, everybody. My name is Colin Daring. Man, kettlebell extraordinaire, I guess.
Yes, sir.
I'm just trying to be a trailblazer, do my own thing. For me, I like to put a little soul in the bell. Kettlebell is traditionally out of European, man. It's a Russian-based training technique.
Wow.
Yeah, European in start. And I actually was put onto the kettlebell years ago and didn't understand it at the time. It wasn't my area of interest
Expertise
at all.
or-
Yeah. Because I'm based, the traditional 3-man bodybuilding type approach, squat, bench, deadlift. That was all we knew because I guess in the Americas, man, when you think about training, your mindset goes to like bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you're gonna do those movements, and those were the traditional movements. And after years of training, just kind of got bored and was starting to expand. Traveling puts you into different places, so traveling and seeing other people training, and I was like, "There's way that the 3 that we always do is just a drop in the bucket," and started looking for more unconventional ways to train. Which brings you back to calisthenics. Believe it or not, it's all cyclical, and I really got turned on to something called a Mace bar, which was my start into unconventional training. A Mace bar is actually a traditional weapon that's straight out the battlefield. It came about as the knights, the Crusaders were crusading into Persia. And the knights, they wore their armor.
Yes.
Some Persians was fighting with swords and they couldn't beat them because they couldn't cut through the armor. So what they came up with is a weapon that's called a blunt force trauma weapon, which is the Mace bar. So the Mace bar is basically a stick with a ball at the end. It would have some sort of spikes. And they would swing the spike.
Okay.
Right, so they would swing the stick with the spikes, blunt force trauma to the head or injure a joint.
Oh yeah, it's over.
And then that's how they forced the Crusaders out of Persia with that weapon.
Wow.
Yeah, so you'll see it in movies here and there, but that was a big tool at the time to fight, and that's what they used.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk to me about, you said that you started in calisthenics at one point?
Yes.
Or a little bit?
Man, I think for me, I'm an older guy. I'm
No doubt.
53. So
Hey!
back in, man, we talking 80s, man, 85. Yeah. And I grew up on Rutland Road, man, Rutland East 90, East 95th. So we had this park, man, Lincoln Terrace Park.
Yes,
and that
sir,
was,
the legendary Lincoln Park.
Still there. I still go there from time to time.
Okay.
So we would go up the street and, all right, so calisthenics for me, how I got introduced to it. At the time in the 80s, there was a lot of drug dealing going on.
I was just thinking, you grew up in the 90s.
Man, it was heavy. So guys would go to jail and they would come back. There was two things that they learned: how to fight, 52.
52 blocks.
Right, 52. So
yes,
you learn how to fight, and in order to fight, you had to get strong, so you had to do pull-ups and push-ups. So friends would come back, Spofford or Rikers, and they'd be like, yo, I'm doing pull-ups, let's go to the park. And that was my introduction to calisthenics. There were I don't even remember there being a gym. Mm. You either had the Joe Weider bench in your basement, you know, the little skinny joint with the plastic weights with the cement in there, and that's how you got your bench press on. Or you had a heavy bag that you got to punch. Somebody would have a heavy bag, and then you would go to the park, you would ride your bike for your cardio, and you do pull-ups and push-ups.
Wait, they have the rec centers in the park?
You know what, man? If it was a rec center. If your school was good enough, you had the school gym, and that's where it wasn't. There wasn't like this was like pre-Bally's and all that other stuff, you know. And at the time, nobody was really affording that, and we still young, so we're not thinking about that. So calisthenics was the thing.
Okay.
I remember doing pull-ups, and I would try to do, you know, tricks and things like that. And it wasn't really a freestyle back then, but it was kind of like who was nice on the bar. But I remember doing pull-ups until I would dislocate my shoulder, man, just to get that strength up.
Them damn shoulders, man. Me too,
It's the full extension, you know, the pull to get through, and then you do a trick or two, that shoulder comes out. And that's just not from, right out, and at the time, that's not having the knowledge to know that you needed to warm up. You know, you just jumped right in and you would go until you pass out. That led me to starting to put weights, you know, curls, things like that, and get stronger, man. Because you had to be able to throw your hands, and that was part of the deal. You at any given time. My brother always used to tell me, there was a stop and strip, Pitkin Avenue in Brooklyn. It's still there. So in Brownsville, so he would say, "What you gonna do?" Somebody say, run what's in your pockets. You want to pick an avenue. You gonna give it up or you gonna fight? And I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna fight. So he's like, yo, so you gotta get strong. Do these push-ups. And that mentality always stayed with me. Not to be ready to fight, but you always gotta be ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
There you
go. All right, so,
ready.
So that is something that has just been ingrained. Always wanted to work out, always wanted to train, always wanted to do something different. And over the years of doing the same thing over and over led me to start exploring other ways of training. And to this day, I still keep calisthenics in my regimen. And people say, yo, how do you stay so lean? And I'm like, yo, you can't just do weights all the time. You got to do some calisthenics. It's important. And I think for me, a base strength is being able to pull your own body up on the bar and do a push-up. Those are two solid movements that has to be in everybody's tool bag. And I know a lot of really strong guys and they can't do one pull-up. The balance is off, right? So it's good to have short power strength, but being able to move your whole body as a unit is important.
Absolutely.
So that being said, from that base growing into where I am now as far as doing unconventional training, it all links together. The kettlebell has been a tool of choice right now for me, just because of there's so many ways to use it. Whereas you kind of get limited with the bar and the bench. It almost turns into a extension of your body. Just the way you move your hand through the handle, the way it can be outside, inside, the way it flows. I use what's called a competition style bell.
Mm-hmm.
And it works with a different sort of weight distribution where there's more weight in the body of the bell, lighter in the handle, and you can manipulate the bell to move. I used to dance, break dance, pop, lock, you name it. So for me, I like to juggle. It's an old Russian technique, kettlebell juggling. Born out of kettlebells, born out of a Russian circus. It was a way to entertain.
What do you use? What do you use? What's the 10 pounds, 15 pounds?
I use
to juggle.
To juggle, my base weight for juggling now is 25 pounds.
I was about to say, because I seen you with some pretty hefty
I can usually go up to about maybe 100 pounds for just a simple flip.
That ain't no joke, bruh.
Nah. But that's just turning the bell 1 or 2 times. But for a lot of the things that I do is I do it behind my back, which puts my shoulder in a position where it can come out. So I lighten the weight to enable me to handle the inertia of the bell. As it spins around, you got to decelerate the weight. So I started out pretty heavy. I started with 50 pounds because the ego was involved. Ego saying, oh, I can't be doing this little lightweight. That's for girls. I'm going to get this big heavyweight. And as I started to learn it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to hurt myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I said, let me scale down. I went down to the traditional weight, which is 35 pounds, but that's a Russian sort of technique. And I started to actually do the traditional style of juggling, which is the Russian base. And it's the weight kind of stays away from you longer because you're more in tune with how many rotations you get out of the bell before you catch it. And the style is beautiful to watch. But for me, I wanted to basically do it my own way. I wanted to bring a style I wasn't seen. I'm not into actually copying or mimicking what somebody else is doing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna backtrack up just for 1 second.
No, go. I'm learning it.
There's another style of kettlebell, but it's called a lock.
Okay.
And it's almost a rectangular sort of form, and it's out of China. So the root of a lock and a kettlebell was the locks was used for damming wells for rice farmers. They would slide the lock back and forth, how to irrigate their system. Now, kettlebells were based as weights for how to weigh produce. The weight would balance the scale, and that's how they would make sales. Mm. But as the time went on, they would use the kettlebells to work out.
I think I actually used those before. Not with the kettlebell,
the
kettlebell, but the scale. That you have to put the weights on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
in the Caribbean.
So I, in studying kettlebells and Russian style juggling, I came across lock juggling out of China, which were different movements, same concept. So I kind of melded the two and started to create my own concept. In Russian traditional classic juggling, I don't know who I'm speaking to, but I'm just right? It's hard to explain because you got to see it, right?
Yes.
They would pause with the weight at the palm of their hand and straight up, and that's when the judge will grade, and then they will go on to the next move, right? Okay. So in China, instead of pressing it with their palm, they would rest it on their elbow. And for me, I took the palm out, the elbow in with the kettlebell, and that's when I came up with bumping the weight off of my elbow, which was kind of radical, and they always like
the traditional. You created your own move.
Exactly, I created my own moves, and that's all I've been doing for the last, I want to say 5 years, is just really developing my own style, creating new movements that haven't been seen before, and just really trying to push the juggling style out of straight traditional and make it more freestyle. Mm-hmm. And it's been taken off with it, I would say, the last year. So there's so many people that I see doing moves that I've created and don't even know that I've created the move, which is
Funny feeling, right?
It's a funny feeling because somebody spoke to me about it. Was like, yo, you need to create some sort of ownership.
Yes.
Because the moves that everybody's doing, I've seen you do those. I've seen you be the first person to do it, but nobody actually knows that you are the first person unless they're in that kettlebell field.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the weird thing also is that I don't feel no way about it. It's kind of like it's just out there because it's almost like a dance move. You know what I mean? Where if you was breakdancing, that first intro, that came from somebody, we don't know who it came from, but everybody does that first move until you start to get into your routine.
Right.
And that's what you see in kettlebell juggling with this new freestyle sort of input is that you could be doing the same move, but it won't look exactly the same because everybody has their own approach to it. And that's the beauty of it.
Is it a flow? What is it called?
A kettlebell flow is man, there's 3 sort of steps to it. There's a complex, which is where you link certain movements together, but it's not as fluid. It's kind of broken into sections, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a kettlebell row, a kettlebell clean, a kettlebell press. A flow is the transitions are more fluid. It won't be broken up. It'll just be one smooth thing. Be row, clean, press, and it's more fluidity to the flow. Now the juggle it'll be a row, clean, press, but at some point the bell is gonna come out of your hand completely.
Right.
And it'll turn, flip, spin, and you have to re-catch it and put it back in that same sort of movement. And that's what a juggle is.
Is that something that you create when you're away from the kettlebell, or does it come naturally? Do you go home and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, 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 and this, or do you add the moves as you go?
After you get a base amount of moves, I would say once you get about 5 moves under your belt, you have to. So say if I wanted to learn the kettlebell flip, I would drill the flip. Once I got the flip, I would say I want to do a side flip. I'll drill a side flip. And that's when you link the row to the flip, clean to the side flip. And then that will be a juggle. Some moves you can't just freestyle when you got a lot of moves under your belt, but then for the most part, you would have to calculate the moves. So it'll be like putting a rhyme together. Mm-hmm. It has to flow. Because of the way you're gonna initiate the inertia of the bell to spin the bell and how you're gonna catch it, it's gonna make sense. And some moves won't link together.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm turning it this way, if it's too far, I won't be able to catch it behind my back. So I know I would have to turn into the bell. So you have to really program how the bell is gonna move around you for you to be safe doing it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Now, I see also that you have more and more groups of people joining your flows.
Yes.
And what is that all about? It just seems like you have a tribe almost.
Yeah, man. That is it's as it starts to grow and people see from Instagram say, "Oh, I just saw this guy do a trick. I want to go try it." It's kind of like they'll work out until they come to visit and say, I want to do it with you simultaneously. And then it's back to again, it's like doing a dance. So I call it getting in frequency because we all have different ways of movement. You got to do it a few times to get in repetition, and then you'll start to align with the person that's doing it next to you, and that's when you get in sync. So you got to find you got to find their frequency to be on that same wavelength, so that it's almost where you know you're doing the move next, but you're not thinking about it anymore. Everything kind of goes away. There's something that happens in the flow where you don't have time to think about the next movement. You just know it's going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah, and then that's the part that it's man, it releases some good endorphins, man. It just feels right. It feels good.
Feel it. I can see it in my mind's eye.
You can see it, and even if it's just for like 2 seconds, everything fades away. And then that's the part that I think when people start to juggle and they tap into that, that's the part that brings you back to it.
I love it.
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits physically from being a kettlebell juggler?
Wow, what I've learned is, man, your grip strength, your hand-eye coordination, your awareness is heightened because there are certain spots where you won't be able to see the bell, but you just know where it is physically. Um, it's kind of like somebody throwing a fastball. There's a split second time before you can hit a fastball, but you know where the ball is just from the calculations, and that's what happens. There's your synapses. It starts to really fire up really fast, and the benefits for me, man. There's a torque that you have to tame in the bell as it comes down. So there's a strength that gets built with that. Grip strength is all the way up right now. So I get a lot of mixed martial artists that come and use kettlebells and like to juggle because they said it increase their grip strength when they grab a gi. Because the bell, it's constantly slapping your hand, and your hand just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and there's more of a resistance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even you said people from other genres of fitness and exercise, such as martial artists.
Yeah, I get a lot of mixed martial artists that train with kettlebells now, that want to come and train with kettlebells, that want to juggle because they say just the fast action of being able to catch the bell when it's spinning helps them react faster in martial arts.
Are there kettlebell juggling competitions?
Absolutely, man.
There are?
Yeah.
I never even knew.
Yeah, that's where the Russians come. Yo, that is huge in Russia. And I think as far as freestyling, has never been a freestyle competition because that wasn't something that was I won't say accepted, but it just wasn't seen because
maybe it's up to you.
Yeah.
To put that together.
So as the sport is growing, we've been talking about for the first time, they're actually going to have a competition in Spain where they're going to have a freestyle addition to the classical kettlebell juggling. That's because it's just been picking up.
It might be you to lead the one.
Yeah,
in New York City,
I've been talking to a lot of kettlebell enthusiasts, jugglers that we've been wanting to do a freestyle competition, man. It's definitely gonna happen.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Even in some of these other calisthenic events, if they had like a segment where they had
exhibition.
Yes,
with 2 to 4 athletes.
I'm gonna tell you, man. 3 years ago, I could count on one hand how many people was doing this.
Wow.
And now it's just like it's gone. It's all over the world at this point right now.
Kettlebell juggling on Caffeine TV. I'm coming for you, Caffeine TV. I'm sending everything your way. Mr. Daring is here.
It's time, man. It's time, definitely.
We need to get some eyes in mainstream media, not only in freestyle calisthenics, not only in reps and sets calisthenics, but also in kettlebell competitions.
Kettlebells have had a big boost through COVID also because it's such a compact piece of equipment that you don't need a lot of space of, and you can get a serious workout in with just one weight.
Name some of the instruments outside. You mentioned the Mace, right?
Yeah.
A few other that maybe people won't be familiar with that they can start with.
Kettlebell, Mace, there's it's called a club, which is like, if you what's my man, the Flintstones and Bam Bam, he had the club. That's what it is,
they
right?
One of those too?
Yeah,
okay.
So there's a club bell.
What's the material?
Oh, it's all steel, man.
Oh, steel.
All steel. There's a hammer. So think of a blacksmith, the hammer that they hammer the metal with.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hammer bell. I forgot what it's called, but the name of the company is Tribe Wood, and they got something that's called a Dark Elf, which is an encompass bell, and the bell is just a circumference, and the balance is different from a regular dumbbell.
Okay.
So you put your hand inside the weight, and the bar is inside, so it's all the way around your hand. So it gives a little bit more wrist torque.
Got it.
And that's about the 4 or 5 things I've been messing with. And lately, there's a new company, Cinder Block. My family's West Indian, so I would go to Jamaica, and if I don't have any equipment, I would just use a regular cinder block. And there's a company that mimicked the cinder block, but it's made out of steel. And that's something new.
You use it in the juggling as well?
No, I have juggled it.
Okay.
I I pretty much try to juggle everything right now.
Okay?
Yeah,
you
that's
created
just
your own thing. Basically.
Yeah, man. Just because the sensation of not having to wait for that split second that's out of your hand and being able to re-catch it and reform it to where you want it to is
the anticipation of it.
Yeah,
all.
it's kind of like it's challenging, and for me, man, it's just something I really like to do, and really it does something for me that I understand. You know what I mean? It's just that feeling that I'm always kind of chasing.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about your brand.
Wolfpack Fitness.
Yes,
B.
Wolfpack Fitness.
So my thing, man, is I always say all you need is less. So that's why I come back.
Less.
All you need is less. So I'd say like, yo, get you one kettlebell and you can start. Because a lot of people think you have to spend hours in the gym to do what you need to do. And it's just not that. That's not the case. You could spend 20, 30 minutes to get a solid workout if your mindset is straight and you stay on the hunt. And Wolfpack Fitness is more about working as a team, encouraging each other. And if you follow the traditions of a Wolfpack, they have an alpha, or it could be a female or male, right? The female is the Luna, or the male is just the alpha male. And the alpha male doesn't always have to lead. He'll set the pace and fall back, and the younger male or younger female would take the lead. And that's just kind of where my mindset is. I don't have to always be the leader. And if I see a strength in you, then I'm gonna push you up front and let you lead. You know, and you got to be able to be a great leader. For me, I've always learned that you have to be able to listen. So sometimes you don't know it all, and a person coming up behind you may see things that you're not seeing. So it's okay to take a step back and listen and learn, and then grow with that, and then get back in place when you need to, because you still have the mentality to guide and pull a team together.
Where can they find you?
Oh, man, my home base right now is out of Brooklyn, man. Dean Street, CrossFit. It's
open to the street when they open it? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
come
about.
through.
Yeah. Right by around the car wash.
Awesome.
Stop
playing.
Right around the corner from the car wash right there.
There it is, yeah. And then on the gram and Instagram, it's Daring 101, DARING 101. Yo, tap in, man. For me, basically, man, if I don't have anything good to say, then I don't have nothing to say.
I can respect. That's wisdom.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of wisdom there.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah. I'm never, you know, like you hear a lot of trainers, man, if he ain't doing it this way, it's no good.
Right.
And I'm just from traveling and knowing that it's not about the modalities, but it's about the consistency.
I love
and
your
the
terms,
mindset.
bro. Yeah.
Yes, it's as long as you're consistent, man, and you're doing what you're doing and you like what you're doing, you're gonna show up. But if you just kind of just thugging it out and throwing up and showing up because somebody's saying, oh, you gotta do it this way, you end up breaking, man. There's no fun in that.
Oh man, that's super fire.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got for you, Mr. Daring. We weren't gonna hold you too long. We just want to introduce you to
it's a pleasure.
our world here.
Pleasure, man.
Thank you for taking the time out and busy schedule.
Yes.
Thank you for answering the call of the wild.
Yo.
This is a cold call, yo. I reached out to this brother, haven't met him till tonight.
Yes.
And I said, my brother, I love what you do. Come through. We'll chop it up. If you wish, the brother came through.
Yeah.
It's love. And I'm going to stay locked in. He's going to stay locked in with me. And that's how we roll, bro. Thank you so much. It's
my
a pleasure,
man. My pleasure, yo.
Daring 101 on Instagram.
Yes.
Wolfpack Fitness.
Yes.
Tap in. We are going to start shutting this thing down. Anything else you want to speak on before we get out of here?
Man, I'm going to say, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the call.
No doubt.
I feel like there's a million people you could be talking to.
Oh, man.
So I respect that, and I'm grateful for the call, man. I'm glad to be here.
No doubt. We're going to see you again, all right? I'm going to pull up and try to get some of these kettlebell lessons, all right?
Absolutely, man.
No
Absolutely.
doubt.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold you to that.
I will. All right. So we're going to start shutting this thing down. The song that we are going to cool down to is called Dixon Butterfly featuring Stolen Nova. Enjoy this vibe, y'all. Cody, you can shut our mics off. Peace, 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 and love.
Oh, girl, I can barely move. Cruising altitude. Now that we found the groove, the sky is navy blue. Can I go down?